Okay, this is the last example of how to find particular solutions and things of that nature and sketch some slope fields. Another example of a possible AP type question for free response. So letter A, sketch the slope field. I'm not going to go over that. I'm just going to show you the answer slide. And part B, sketch a solution curve. Once you know what the slope field looks like, it's very easy to sketch. And there's an example real quick. I'll kind of let you look at that. But the slope field looks like that. And then the solution curve, you just got to be careful because there's two different parts of the slope field. When I'm looking over here at the bottom, all these slopes are an upside down parabola. When I'm at the above the y-axis, x-axis I should say, it's parabola looks like this. Now I just want to point out that these do not need to go exactly through these points. It's just giving you a general concept of what the slope looks like. It's really easy to tell from here that it flattens out when it gets to the y-axis into a zero slope. And then the slopes as you go, I'm looking down this line right here. As I go left to right, the slopes get progressively higher and higher. So by the time I get here, they're pretty high. So that's really what's happening here is we have kind of a widened parabola. So letter C, this is the fun part where we actually get to do particular solutions. And it's going to be just like what I did on number 17. Bottom line, what we need to do is we need to solve this differential equation. After we do that, it says sketch a solution curve, which is much the same way we did before. And part E is find a particular solution with this initial condition. So we're going to be finding both of these. So real quickly, we'll do letter C first. And these are the answers, by the way. And we'll just go over how we get to those answers. So I'll do letter C right here. We'll cross multiply. We'll get y dy, which we'll be integrating soon, equals, and cross multiply again, and we'll get x dx. Wasn't so bad. And then we are going to integrate both sides. That's how we solve a differential equation. And we are going to get, from there, we're going to get y squared over 2 equals x squared over 2. But one of these two sides we will need to incorporate the plus c because they're indefinite integrals. We don't do it for both sides, but just one. So plus c, and then it comes down to solving that. Solving this, the first thing you would do is multiply by 2, and you would get x squared plus y squared equals c. I'm sorry. You get x squared or y squared. That didn't sound right. You're going to get y squared equals x squared. We're just multiplying both sides by 2. And then we've talked about this before. We don't actually have to do anything to that c value. All we're going to do is just leave it as a c. We'll solve for it at the end because we just want to know what it is at one point in the problem. And we're going to square root both sides. We're going to get x squared plus c. I should probably make that a little bit longer. And there we go. Now it says, this is part C we're doing, so it says the initial condition is f of 0 equals 1. So what we do here is we put in a 1 for y and a 0 for x. So it's pretty easy to do once you get this far. We really just want to know what c is, and when we solve this, we're going to get 1 equals the square root of c. Therefore, c is 1. What that means is that our final equation, this one right here, we can write as y equals the square root of x squared plus 1. So that wasn't so bad. All right, and I'm going to go to a different color. I'm going to skip letter D right now just to save some time, but I'm going to go to a different color, go to green. And that was part C. We're going to do part E, I should say, since we have all the work we need. Part E is basically just a different solution we're looking for. So we're looking for different C value. So I'm going to start and I'm going to go right back to this point, just to save you the torture of watching me try to write this out. I'm just going to redo that, but this time I'm going to be plugging in a 0 for x and a negative 1 for y. And I'm going to get negative 1 equals the square root of, this would be 0 squared, which is 0, plus c. All right, and when I do that, I'm going to end up with negative 1. I'm sorry, I'm going to get positive 1 equals the square root of c. And I'm going to get c equals 1. Now at this point you're probably asking yourself, well, nothing really changed. Well, here's the thing. When we did y squared, what we should do is, when we're doing something like y squared, what we should be doing is we should be doing a plus or minus. We didn't do it. I wanted to ignore it to start, and I'm going to look at it now. Now, my initial solution was f of 0 equals 1. So it tells me when I put in a number, I'm taking the positive answer of this root. So it didn't really change anything I did. I just took a plus here. Now when I'm doing 0, negative 1, the output is negative. That means when I do this problem, what's going to have to happen here for this to work out is I'm going to have to be using y equals negative square root of x squared plus c. That's really what I was using here. I have negative 1 equals, so if I put the negative here like it should have been, you're going to find it's not going to change anything. You're still going to get a positive 1 here. You're going to square root both. You're going to square both sides, and you're going to get a positive 1 because we're going to divide by negative 1. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 is positive 1. And then when we square both sides, we get 1 equals c. So we're still going to get a c value of 1, but our answer is going to be negative square root of x squared plus 1. And I'll try to explain that. I probably didn't choose the best method to go through this, but I'll explain it one more time. So up here for letter C, okay, at this point the plus or minus happens, and we pick plus because an input of 0 leads to a positive y. So x leads to a positive y value. And since y equals plus or minus right here, I know the answer is supposed to be positive, so I picked the positive version. So solving it is no big deal. Now for letter E, the output is negative, so when I'm using this part of the equation, I'm going to choose the negative. So I'm really doing negative 1 equals negative square root of 0 plus c. Dividing by negative 1 gives me that. Squaring both sides gives me c equals 1. So c still stays 1, but I'm using the negative version of the equation. So that's the difference between these two. I probably should have just did that right away. All right. And that's why the answers look like this. All right, and the solution curve through f of 0 equals negative 1. Now that is 0, negative 1. That is this point right here. And we can see there is a different thing going on here. We are looking at slopes that are going, they're increasing, they're flat, or they're decreasing to a flat spot, which is 0, and then they're going to slowly go negative, and they're going to increase in the negative direction. So they should be getting a little bit, a little bit steeper down, probably more like that, downwards. And there you have it.